We're going to begin the meeting. We're going to call to order the East Brandywine Township Board of Supervisors special meeting Wednesday, August 26, 2026. A recording device will be in use during this meeting. We will open the meeting with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Public comment for agenda items. Rules of conduct for public meetings established by Resolution 2001-08. The time allocated to each individual making a comment shall be 3 minutes unless otherwise set by the presiding officer. Additional public comment may be granted at the discretion of the presiding officer at the conclusion of the meeting. Are there any comments on agenda items? Yes. Please come to the podium. Give us your name and address. Thank you.
First, excuse my appearance. I'm off to a pickle little bus right after this. But my name is Jessica Fletcher, and I'm a 15-year resident of East Brandywine Township. I'm here today because I'd like to provide a reference for one of the applicants for the open township supervisor position. Dr. Gaurang Patel has been my next door neighbor for 15 years. During that time, we've experienced what a wonderful place this is to live, and we hope it continues to be for generations to come. Gaurang cares deeply about our township and has been an active community member. His 2 sons graduated from Brandywine Wallace 2 years ago, and now they're at the Downingtown Middle School. He owns multiple properties in the township. Over the course of 15 years, Gaurang should win a prize for the best neighbor ever. But to keep this brief, I'll just say that Gaurang is exceptional with numbers and finances. He's an outstanding negotiator. He is meticulous with details and organization. He is very knowledgeable about the township and constantly stays up to date with what's going on. For these reasons, I ask the township to appoint Dr. Gaurang Patel to the open township supervisor position. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Are there any other comments? Okay. All right, this time we will begin the the process, and I believe we're going to have Tom read a statement with regards to a pending issue in the township, and we want all the applicants to be aware of this issue and how it may impact your application.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the chairman indicated, my name's Tom Esty. I'm with the law firm of Buckley, Bryan, McGuire, and Morris. That firm is the solicitor for East Brandywine Township. Before the board begins the interviews, the board asked me to make a statement about a legal matter currently pending before the township. The township is presently involved in land use proceedings concerning the substantive validity challenges to the township zoning ordinance, including both an application to the zoning hearing board and an application to the Board of Supervisors requesting a curative amendment to the zoning ordinance. The curative amendment application alleges that data centers are not a permitted use anywhere in the township. Those proceedings remain pending, and the curative amendment application will require members of the Board of Supervisors to participate in a public hearing, which is a court-like proceeding where the supervisors hear evidence on the application in a quasi-judicial role or an adjudicatory capacity. In other words, the board members are acting like judges. Because the person appointed to fill this vacancy will be called upon to participate in the curative amendment hearing, the person appointed must be impartial and free of bias. During your interview, you may be asked by the board if you have expressed any opinions or made statements publicly or on social media about the data center curative amendment application, the data center zoning hearing board application, the applicant for the curative amendment, the validity of the township's ordinances, or data centers in general. This statement is not intended to restrict you from expressing your views during the interview. including those on land use policy of the township generally, or your qualifications and approach to serving as a supervisor. It is simply important that anyone who is appointed and may later participate in adjudicating a matter is able to do so impartially based on the evidence presented at the hearing. Thank you.
Okay, so just want everyone to understand that, so if there's anything that was put out on social media, you will, if you're selected, you may not be able to participate in that hearing. All right? And I want to open by saying I want to thank all of the candidates for their application. We are truly fortunate and blessed to have such high quality applicants for this position. I looked over the resumes, and everyone is way above qualification for this position, and I'm just ecstatic with the participation, and I want to thank everyone. So at this time, we'll begin the process. We're going to go in order of the applications as they were received into the township. So we'll begin with Alan Yefko. Alan, please come to the center here.
So, good evening, Mr. Chair and member of the board. My name is Alan Yefko. I live at 1 Summerhill Drive. My wife and I moved to the township in 1995 and raised our family. We were attracted by the acres of conserved open space surrounding our neighborhood, the reasonable tax rates, low crime, and quick access to the Route 30 bypass. Education-wise, I have a bachelor's degree in accounting and an MBA from Villanova. I vividly recall my Villanova law professor's challenge to our class one day. He said, "You will soon graduate and start your careers. Remember, it's important to give back to your community. It's easy to write a check, but I challenge you to give of your time and talent." This township's many volunteer opportunities have allowed me to fulfill that challenge. Growing up on my family farm in New England instilled a love of the land. In 2006, I jumped at the chance to join the Township Open Space Committee. This introduced me to a wide range of property owners, citizen volunteers, township manager, staff, and supervisors. This is now my 20th year on the committee, the last 10 as the committee chair. I'm pleased to report that the township has now secured parcels of conserved open space totaling over 2,000 acres, representing 28.8% of total township acres. In 2022, I retired from a career in information technology and finance, working for large corporations in the pharmaceutical, healthcare, and insurance industries. My area of expertise included leading large teams in implementing new business processes and computer systems for corporate back office functions, such as human resources, marketing, and legal. Personal skills utilized included analysis, problem solving, communications, and managing multi-million-dollar project budgets. That same year of retirement, I joined the newly formed Budget Committee. As part of the annual budget process, this committee interacts with all department heads, township committees, and affiliated organizations like the fire company. For me, this has served as a master government class. I always say that by following the money, you gain a greater understanding and appreciation for the complexities of our local government. I was appointed as the committee chair for the 2027 budget cycle. Some insights I've gained from this committee include having a greater understanding that public safety comes at a cost. This year, the police department expenses represent approximately half of the total township operating budget. I appreciate that our roads are well maintained by the Public Works Department. The annual road repaving schedule is planned out years in advance with annual costs exceeding $500,000. I realize that the real estate transfer tax revenue for current new housing activities is a one-time cash infusion. The committee has recommended that these monies be set aside for the establishment of a rainy day reserve fund deferring future tax increases. The committee has the task of evaluating all capital expenditure requests and making the difficult trade-offs, such as whether to fund computer hardware and software upgrades, installation of a new roof on this building, vehicle replacements, construction of a new rolled salt storage structure, or Bonsville Mill building restorations, to name a few. And I've learned more about the trash and recycling program than I ever could have imagined. I'm pleased to report that the last 4 annual draft budgets have been approved by the supervisors with no tax increases. In conclusion, the committees I'm involved in have a proven track record of being good stewards of our public funds. I am well known for my analytical approach, asking a ton of questions and listening to all points of view before voting on a recommendation. I am committed to township excellence and resident representation. I have a strong desire to ensure that the supervisors make progress on major township issues while ensuring that resident voices continue to be taken into consideration. If selected for the supervisor position, I feel that I could hit the ground running by leveraging my broad township government knowledge, career experience, and excellent working relationships. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Alan. At this time, do you want to present questions to Alan?
Did you want to start, or?
I think you have 5 questions
to?
you wanted to start with,
Sure.
and I think I'll let you go ahead and I'll just ask that one that we
Yeah, that's fine.
discussed, all right?
Okay, so my question for you, well, I have a couple, obviously, but why do you want to be a supervisor and why now?
I see that being the next step in volunteering here. I see that there's an immediate need, and I feel very well qualified to fit that bill. This is a 1.5 year period of time, and I know going through the budget committee cycle, it took me 2 cycles to really feel comfortable with knowing what the inner workings of the township's all about. So I think, as you probably experienced, you're getting fire hosed with information and your learning curve has to be really steep. This position doesn't really have that luxury of a long learning curve. So I think that's something that I can bring that maybe other applicants can't.
Okay. And then how much time are you planning to dedicate to this position, approximately?
So I'm retired now, and I'm going into this with the thinking of I can dedicate 20 to 30 hours a week easily.
Okay.
All right, let me take.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, what is the top thing you want to make an impact on as the township supervisor? What jumps out at you? What do you think about when you, not that
Well, with my
not that it's a one issue
Yeah.
job. I mean, there's so much that we deal with, but just
for one thing, right now on the Open Space Committee, we're working on some really good prospective properties that might get preserved within this time frame. So it's a permanent achievement for the township and the residents. So that's kind of where my passion is. I'm also well aware of, I've done all the studying of what's this curative amendment and the whole data center thing, mostly looking at it from 2 perspectives. One is the new zoning ordinance and where we would be allowed going forward, putting aside this challenge. The new zoning ordinance makes it allowed like a mile from my home. So I've been reading up on everything that you publish in relation to that and getting educated on it. But secondly, also from an open space perspective is, now I've got essentially data center developers competing with housing developers for the same open space. So I've tried to do the education there. And I know that this is going to be probably the biggest issue over this term.
Okay.
And then if you're chosen, how would you approach your first 6 months?
Could you
Oh,
repeat
sorry.
the question? Sorry.
If you're chosen, how would you approach your first 6 months?
For 6 months? Well, first, I would continue, as allowed, to participate in the budget committee in a listening mode to make sure that we're proposing a reasonable balanced budget that still takes into account the major capital expenditure requests that are baked in there. So I think that would be the primary focus over the first, between now and the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the whole data center thing will be very all-consuming, I'm sure.
And then what do you think there's something that our township could improve on? If you could pick one thing, what would it be? I know there's a lot of potential touch points, but.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the
Oh,
full
sorry.
question.
What is one thing that you think our township could improve?
I'd say community outreach in general. That could be whether it's social media. I know, for example, our township website definitely needs to be totally upgraded. We need to be able to reach the younger generation, and there's many different ways we can do that. Part of my training at my last position was to develop systems for the employee communications department. So that was, how can we target employees, 40,000 employees around the world on various platforms and various languages and various messaging. So I would probably bring some of that, those type of ideas and experience to this position.
I just have one more. Do you have any that you want?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
And then the final question is, you only have to use a yes or no response, but have you made any public statements, either in meetings or on social media, about data centers?
I don't post anything on social media or on any topic whatsoever. My neighbors have asked what I know about it because they know I'm on a lot of committees, and my response has always been I point them back to the township website. And I tell them just like what you guys advise, ignore what's on social media.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Next up would be Alan Snyder. Alan?
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak, Chair and members of the board. My name is Alan Snyder, and I'm asking to be considered for this current vacancy. I'm a resident in Cherry Grove Lane here in East Brandywine, and it's been my home for the past 8 years. My wife Amanda and I are raising 2 daughters. Eleanor just started middle school, so far so good, and Penelope still at VW. This isn't simply a community where we live, it's where we've built our family, made friends, invested our time, and put down our roots. This is why I'm interested in serving as Township Supervisor. I care deeply about the future of East Brandywine, and I want to help make sure it remains one of the best places to live in southeastern Pennsylvania. Our township is changing. We have longstanding residents who have helped build this community, and we have new families moving in here, excited to make it their home. I believe our responsibility as leaders is to thoughtfully balance the needs of both. We should respect the character and traditions that make East Brandywine special, while also being willing to embrace responsible growth and new ideas. I also believe we can be pro-business while remaining firmly committed to the quality of life here in East Brandywine. The businesses we welcome into our community should make sense for East Brandywine and complement the needs and character of our residents. Growth should be thoughtful and not just growth for growth's sake. Professionally, I believe I bring a skill set that translates very well to the responsibilities of supervisor. I've spent the past 15 years as a marketing professional. My undergrad was up in Rochester, New York at St. John Fisher. and I have an MBA in marketing and finance from the University of Buffalo. And I've been leading teams within multi-million-dollar organizations for those past 15 years. And I currently serve as marketing director of Leo Facility Services, a national facilities maintenance organization that does both exterior and interior maintenance. My career has required me to manage complex budgets, lead people, coordinate across different functions, work with outside partners, plan and execute events, manage communications, make difficult decisions, and ultimately get things done. Marketing is also a profession where you have to be adaptable. You can have a plan in the morning and completely change by the afternoon. You have to listen, communicate, prioritize, solve problems, and understand that different stakeholders can have very different perspectives. I believe those skills are directly applicable to this vacancy. But my commitment to East Brandywine isn't just professional. For the past 4 years, I have served on the board of the East Brandywine Youth Athletics Association, and I have volunteered with EBA for the past 7 seasons. I currently serve as chair and president of EBA Soccer League. We start in a couple weeks, so it's been a little busy. In that role, I have had the opportunity to work directly with the township and understand firsthand some of the responsibilities and challenges that come with managing community programs. I oversee everything from registration, scheduling, budgeting, procurement, event coordination, digital communications, and promotions. I work with outside organizations as a liaison for the association, and I help lead an 11-member soccer committee. Most importantly, that experience has reinforced something I already believe, that local service is about the people you serve. It is about listening to residents. It's about finding common ground. It's about making responsible decisions with the resources we have. And it is about understanding that behind every policy, budget decision, development proposal, or community program are real people who call this place home. I'm not seeking this position because I believe I have all the answers. I don't. I'm seeking it because I believe I have the experience, perspective, energy, and commitment to be a thoughtful and effective member of our township's leadership. I want East Brandywine to continue to be a place where families want to raise their children, where longtime residents feel valued, while new residents feel welcome, where businesses can succeed, and where our quality of life remains something we are proud to protect. My family and I have chosen East Brandywine as our home. To be honored to have the opportunity to give back to the community that has given so much to us. So thank you for your consideration, and I would be grateful to serve for this vacancy of supervisor. So thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
So we'll start with, go ahead and start with your questions.
Right, so I think you answered the first one about why do you want to be a supervisor. Why now, though?
Why now? It's just one of those things. As I've served on the board of EBYA, dealing with several residents, parents, coaches, volunteers, and a lot of experience there. I just felt like this was an opportunity to take this to the next level and really support kind of all functions of the township. And I just think it's an opportunity that I can take hold of now, and definitely interested in.
And then how much time would you have to dedicate, or do you plan on dedicating to the position?
Well, unfortunately, I'm a little far from retirement, but I'm can dedicate my time, and split it. I do work remotely, which helps, and I don't travel that much. So I would say, on any given week, anywhere from 5 to 15 hours a week I could spend. I might be at the fields though.
And then you had mentioned about being pro-business and understanding how to market and bring businesses into East Brandywine. What do you see that looking like?
I think, a little bit what the previous person said is the marketing aspect of who we are. And I think the biggest thing is being thoughtful about the businesses that we target to come in here and making sure it fits the needs of our township and our residents. So I say pro-business as long as it, fits the needs of the residents here.
Okay. So what would be your top, it's written out as thing, but I think it's more of what would be your top item? What would you like to have the most impact on in the township if you were elected as supervisor? And it would be a year and a few months actually term. So
obviously there's top items that are obviously at the top of the list right now, with the data centers, but I really think just being involved with the youth association. I think providing opportunities for more programs for kids here so they don't have to go elsewhere, whether it's Exton or into the borough, but continue to support the other departments that have already put on some great community programs and figure out where there's gaps, and let's fill those gaps.
You have any other questions?
So if you were chosen, how would you approach your first 6 months?
First, I would listen. Being in the marketing profession, as I join the organization, I have to work with all the different functions. Marketing touches each point of a business. So I'd go in, learn, and then be able to listen to all the key stakeholders and make sure that I'm equipped with the information I need to make the best decision I can, the most confident decision I can in that place. So learn and listen.
Okay. Anything else?
1 second, sorry.
All right.
So tell me about a time you had to make an important decision without all the information you wanted. What was your process?
In my roles, as in different leadership roles, I'm sometimes privy to information about organizational restructuring and things like that. So I would say I was tasked with building a global consolidated website. I worked for a company called Hardinge. It was a machine tool company. Had over 1,500 employees at the time around the world, and they were all individual brands. Had to bring them in, so I had to still work with those individuals out there and bring them in as part of, so I had to kind of like sell the collective group on having a global, consolidated, site, multilingual. We had about 11 languages on that site without going through the process of the reorg that was going to happen. So that was always a tough decision, and I had to be tactful with how I approached it and how I approached those projects, and that has happened across my career. And then, I would say that when it comes to EBYA, I have to play mediator a lot, between coaches and refs and parents. While it's probably the best rec organization I've ever been a part of, it's still competitive. So having to play that part as well has been, in some cases difficult. But that conflict resolution that I've gained throughout my career and my time has really helped there.
Okay. And then, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Then the last question is, you can say only yes or no, but have you made any public statements either in meetings or online or social media about data centers?
I have not made any comments on social media. It's just filled with dance photos of the girls, so that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you, Alan. All right, next up would be Edward. Yoko, I'm going to mess this up, but stay with me, I've got it. Yakubovich. Edward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's fine. Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Ed Yakubovich. I have a doctorate in cybersecurity as well as information technology, as well as master's degrees in those particular topics. My wife Susan and I have lived in the community now for 15 years, and we really enjoyed it. Our 3 daughters, we were empty nesters when we came, so our 3 daughters didn't get the opportunity to enjoy East Brandywine Township, but they do whenever they visit. I'm seeking this opportunity to serve East Brandywine Township and filling this vacant board seat. I bring my experience in governance, budgeting, and strategic decision-making to help guide the township's future. My professional and volunteer background has consistently centered on public accountability, structured oversight, and protecting the interests of the community I serve. Applying the experience here at home for the township is the place where my family lives, and I have invested much of my time. I have 44 years in information technology, cybersecurity, working with federal government, state government. I want to bring those skills to the community because of the many challenges you're facing now. We have escalating costs, which means your budgets are in flux right now. You never know when your costs are going to escalate, either people costs, product costs, anything across the board that the community has to spend. I want to bring a lot of the skills and talent that I have learned in my 44 years to the community to help to help with many of these problems, technology problems. The data centers is a great example of it, of how much confusion is out there with the data center alone. I want to bring my skills to the community to help explain that better or easier, if that's possible. Because again, you're talking about social media. Once that information gets out on social media, it creates a life of its own, which I believe in this case it has. I believe one of the skills I'm bringing to the table today is my ability to recognize biasness in its purest definition, which is not, we all have biasness. It's how you control your biasness. It's how you choose what you're eating for breakfast and what you're not. But what I want to bring to the table is identification, and I identify bias immediately in myself or within a topic such as the data center, as an example. And based on your introduction, I want to just be full disclosure. I have not put anything on social media because I still don't believe in social media. I think it should be outlawed. But what I have done is I've gone through all of your regulations. I've gone through all of your recommended recommendations for both changing the ordinance as well as how we would manage data centers. And I came back with quantified updates for what the data center actual policy is missing, because there's a bunch of material in there that's missing. You don't quantify how much noise the data center is going to produce. You don't quantify. You say, oh, the data center is not going to have a noise level above 11 or 40 or 50 dB. But then you start talking about water. Well, how much water do you use? There's a lot of things that were quantified. What I did with that is I summarized that and I sent it off to a few people that I know inside the East Brandywine government. That was one of the ways that I thought that I could use as an example of how I would use my skills. I understand all of those technologies end to end. Recognizing even the biasness written into the particular ordinances and or the actual rules that are being applied against the data center. So those are some of the things I hope to bring forward for the community itself. My 15 years in East Brandywine give me a grounded perspective on the township's daily realities, which this community has grown exponentially since I've been here. I'm seeing farmlands converting into almost always housing communities. That's a huge challenge we have. The first gentleman that was up, I commend our open space committee. They're doing an outstanding job. I read every board notes, meeting notes, and actions and things like that. I keep up with what's going on in the community. Because of my job, and I'm at 44 years now, I retire in 2 years, and that's why I'm sitting here in front of you. And I know the position itself is, I think you said 13 months or a month and 6 months. You said one of the previous gentlemen.
August is 8, so we got 4 months.
4 months,
Yeah,
right.
4 months.
So I realize that. But I think there's still an opportunity there to use the skills of myself or anybody in the community to help you understand some of those challenges that are going to continue to come down the road. I've watched the traffic patterns change greatly. I've seen how parks, trails, and open spaces contribute to our community. I've seen the wonderful job they've done. I understand from a resident's point of view the importance of maintaining a balance between growth, environmental stewardship, and financial responsibility. There's a lot of challenges there, especially with the way the world continues to change almost daily anymore. My commitment to give back has taken the form of professional mentoring, volunteer services across my career, and board participation beyond the township lines. Now I want to focus some energy more directly here. And as a matter of fact, we are downsizing from, we live in Heatherland East right now at 45 Butterworth Court. We're now moving back here in the field of Brandywine Walk to an over 55 because we like Brandywine Township so much. We want to stay local. So in downsizing, we're actually moving local. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Ed. I hope we got some questions.
I think we covered the first one about why do you want to be a supervisor, and am I understanding correctly that why now is because you're close to retirement and you would?
Very close to retirement, yes.
Is there any other reason? Sorry.
No, and I work from home.
Yep.
I'm continuously here anymore. I used to travel 380 days a year. I don't anymore. I'm local now. So I can commit the 10 to 20 hours a week, whatever the requirement would be. to satisfy the job position.
Okay. And so if you were chosen, how would you approach the first 6 months?
Well, the first 6 months of anything is a listening time frame. It's a listening and learning. I'm very familiar with the protocol of running boards, committees, Robert's rules. Been doing it since the late 80s on different committees. Those types of things come to me naturally because governance comes to me naturally being part of cybersecurity. It's the way we report things to Congress, to the Senate, in my current job as a defense contractor. I think it's a listening phase where you're listening and learning how the process moves, right? And then you're also using your individual skills to help make those decisions. And as I said, I recognize bias very easily, and I bring that ability forward to say, we have these issues going on, let's level set this and address it properly. So I would handle it in that particular method. It would be a learning phase, absolutely learning, and then using whatever skills I have to help the board be successful, and the township.
I have one more question, but do you have any?
No, just a general question. I think what would be your goal for what item is most important to you that you would like to have an impact on in this short period of time?
In a short period of time, the gentleman before me, I think, touched on something, and I want to take it a little further, and that's our communication to the community, because this data center thing is spiraling out of control. And again, that's social media, and I fully accept that, but I think we need to somehow find a better way to communicate what's actually going on there, because somebody will read a single paragraph and they'll translate it based on the fact that they hate data centers. And they'll translate those words into something they don't even mean. So I think what we need to do, what the board needs to do, or our communication needs to do, is be clear and concise about that data, what's going on with that data center. Because now you have people who are claiming, oh, they created an ordinance out of the blue for the data center. No, if you go in and actually read it, it says, we have extended our ordinances to handle, I don't think they read about the marijuana growing, that's in there, right? The data center, and there's a couple other things that no one even said anything about, but all of a sudden it's the data center. So I think it's just that communication that, hey, our community is growing. This ordinance was expanded, and oh, by the way, this is just a draft for data centers right now. We're going to continue to improve this, and we're focused on you because somehow the community thinks the Board of Supervisors is out to get this data center for the Board of Supervisors. I think we've got to flip that message. I think that's the number one thing. I have other things on my list, like we need to monitor what's going on with our traffic, but that's always been a consistent project for East Brandywine. We need to monitor our open space, but the open space committee is doing a great job. The open space committee is doing a great job with that. But I think it's that we have to find out and fix that communication chain somehow, some way, and communicate better. Yeah.
There you go.
Good.
Okay. All right, Ed. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, we have Ray Carlson. Right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ray Crossan, and I might speak a little loud because I'm hearing impaired, so please bear with me. I'm a lifelong resident of Chester County, aside from a small period of time when I served in the Marine Corps and just after I got married. I'm a 23-year resident of East Brandywine Township. I live on 102 Evergreen Drive in the nice neighborhood of Cross Keys. Before I lived in Cross Keys, we lived in Culberson Run, and I had the privilege of being the HOA chairman. And when I say privilege, it could go either way. With that position, I was tasked with overseeing four other members of the board, as well as establishing a budget, managing people, keeping the roads paved, keeping the grass cut, and keeping the snow removed. Those were the basics of what we were supposed to do. Above that, it was a community involvement. we tried to get each and every member out to every single, or each and every resident out to every single event that we had. During that time when I lived in Culbertson Run, I was selected to be on the planning commission. And that was a very valuable time for me because it helped me learn the interface of how the township works, both with supervisors and all the different committees. After I left the planning commission, I was a member of the municipal authority. And that may sound like it's not very exciting, but it actually is very interesting to know where our sewage goes. We moved to Cross Keys, and I was involved with EBYA soccer. And all the while, my professional experience is I'm a civil engineer. And my office used to be in West Brandywine, now it's in Exton, so there's no really potential for any kind of conflict of interest. I am very well versed with land development, zoning ordinances, and I think that could be a very valuable thing to the township. I own my own business, which allows me to manage people, projects, and set budgets. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ray, you want to start?
Sure.
All right.
So why would you want to be a supervisor and why now?
Well, my whole life has been about service, from when I was young to actual service in the Marine Corps to planning commission. It seems like a very natural step in the process.
All right. So what's an issue that you would want to have an impact on in our township?
Over the past 23 years, I've seen the township grow, and we have a very unique opportunity to make sure that when we grow, we maintain that environment and that good, wholesome East Brandywine that we all know and love. So I'm a proponent of not losing that.
Great.
And about how much time do you have to dedicate to this position?
Good question. I am a business owner, so my time is flexible. So I believe that anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week would be appropriate.
Okay.
Anything else?
And if chosen, how would you approach the first 6 months?
Well, I'm not a big talker, so listening is very important. I would like to reach out to as many of the committee members as possible and get to know them, and to find out exactly what is going on in the township, and to talk to as many people, as many residents as I possibly can, and really listen to what and learn how the process works. Because I know at being a member of, being a supervisor, whoever is selected is going to be thrown into a fire right away.
Okay. No, and then you mentioned that you were the president of your HOA, and you mentioned community involvement. How did you get, or did you get the community involved in your HOA or in any of the?
Well, that's pretty cool. This was all pre social media stuff. So
yeah.
We sent out a newsletter and we knocked on doors, and we had different people who would reach out and provide outreach to with block captains, and we would communicate that way.
And then, only with a yes or no response, have you made any public statements online or about
I'm
data
not here
centers?
because of that. I haven't made any kind of
Okay.
social media or any kind of comment.
Okay.
I'm here for other reasons. That just happens to be something that we're going to have to deal with.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
I don't. All right, Ray, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next would be David Sinise. Am I saying that correctly? I messed that up too. David? All right, we'll move on to the next applicant is Kevin Lang. Kevin?
Just do one thing real quick.
Sure.
All right, well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Kevin Lang. I've been a resident of East Brandywine Township for over 10 years, where I've happily raised my family and enjoyed the many amenities the township has to offer. I feel like I have a lot of great qualities that would translate into being a board member that would benefit our community. I will say, based on the prior candidates, I do not have an extensive education or a master's degree. I have a humble bachelor's degree from a state school in upstate New York. But what I do have is longevity. And, I am a store manager for Wegmans Food Markets. I've worked for Wegmans for 38 years. Grew up in upstate New York. I'm sorry, but I am still a Buffalo Bills fan. You know, one of the things that I learned is that I'm dedicated, extremely dedicated, and I know that this position looks for about the next 16, 17 months, but you know, I don't feel that it ends there, and it certainly wouldn't be, if chosen, it certainly wouldn't be my position to give up at that point. I'm looking for something long-term because I think that the success of the community depends on it. A couple things that are unique about me. I have an ability to manage across many levels. My professional experience, I've learned how to work with people at very different levels in an organization, with different responsibilities, priorities, and perspectives, and I understand that effective leadership is knowing about when to lead and when to listen, and how to bring people together towards a common goal. Another area I believe I can add value is the practical side of governance. When it comes to budgets or vendor relations and accountability, they're important when making decisions that involve taxpayer dollars for sure. I'm responsible every year for about a $130 million budget. I have to write it, I have to stick to it, and it better be right at the end of the year for sure. I would approach budgets with an eye towards both fiscal responsibility and the services our community needs. And I understand the importance of establishing clear expectations for vendors and holding them accountable for delivering on what is promised. I'm also able to weigh many points of view. I believe making good decisions requires the ability to consider multiple points of view. I have served on professional boards in the past. My store location is in King of Prussia, so I served on the King of Prussia Business Improvement District, so I'm very familiar with balancing business and residents. That is a very fast growing area, taking up a lot of open space, and we really had to navigate what was right for business and what was right for the community. So I bring that, and certainly something that I'm very proud of. And I may come to a decision, with my own perspective, but I certainly don't believe that I have all the answers. So I make the effort to hear from fellow board members, resident staff, other stakeholders before making any decisions. And I've found throughout my career that sometimes the best answers are found by understanding why people see issues differently. So my ultimate goal would be to serve the community thoughtfully, responsibly, and consistently by bringing professional experience and a willingness to listen to the board. I believe my other qualifications would allow me to do so while balancing the board and the community. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. So we'll get on to some questions. All right.
Sure. So why do you want to be a supervisor and why now?
Well, I answer why now first. I'm at a point now in my career where I've got a lot more time on my hands, which is great. I want to serve because one of our company has 5 core values, and one of them is making a difference in the community. And for 38 years, I've made a difference in the community where I do business. And I realized, being in King of Prussia, we have an extremely diverse workforce. And just a quick story, in 2023, we did a survey of all of our employees, and the thing that we scored the worst on was making a difference in the community. And so we polled all of our employees and tried to find out why. Why did you do that? Or why did you score us that way? And what they said is, you make a difference in the community where the store is, but you don't make a difference in the community where I live. And so what we did was we went and we researched and we realized we had 45 different zip codes that were represented by our employees. And we weren't in any of them doing anything in the community. So we put together a tremendous community outreach committee in the store, and we went out into neighborhoods in Philadelphia, South Philadelphia, Norristown, East Norton, all around. And our survey numbers doubled by the next time we took a survey, because employees said, now when I get off the bus or when I come out of my home, I see that my company has a presence in my community. And so I think it's important to serve the community where you live, not only where you work, and so that's why I'm interested.
Okay.
All right, what issue would you like to have the most impact on in our township?
That's an excellent question, and I'm gonna stay away from the data center, because what I think is people have their opinions when it's controversial or it's bad, and I don't think as many people speak up when we do good things, and that's the impact that I'd like to have. Is I'd like people to see the good that the Board of Supervisors does, that the township does. And I'd love to see more people come out and volunteer at some of these community events we do. We do a wonderful job in this township, from the Easter egg hunt to the food truck event this past summer. And the one thing that I notice is I see the same people volunteering every time. And I'd love to see more of the community come together and not only support those that volunteer that are consistently there, but make a presence, be there, be part of it.
And about how much time do you have to dedicate to this position?
Well, my boys are old enough that I don't have to coach them in sports anymore, and so I've lots of time. Anywhere from 15 to 30 hours a week, certainly.
All right.
And if you're chosen, how would you approach your first 6 months?
Well, I think as many of the other candidates have said, I think listening is extremely important. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know every issue that the township's facing. I don't know every thing that is on your minds or on your plates. And so, I really would like to listen and understand, how I can make the most impact. And I think that one thing that I'm charged with every day is building one-on-one relationships, and I think that that's extremely important. And so, building relationships in the community, talking to the different chairs of the different committees and things, and just understanding, what's on their mind, and how can we as a board support them, but also, continue to make a difference in the community as well.
That's it?
No, two more. Sorry. How would you balance competing priorities and demands of individual residents with the best interests of the township? And I think this might relate back to the budget that you also had talked about managing.
That is a very excellent point, because you're not going to make everyone happy. And so what you have to do is you have to find the common middle ground that is going to make it satisfactory for everyone. I think you have to weigh the concerns of the residents, but you also have to understand the goals of the township and of the community, and how can we come together, and maybe not everyone is going to be thrilled with it, but if we can all agree that this will work for what we're trying to accomplish here, I think that's the best way to do it. And really, you just have to talk, and you have to listen to everybody's point of view, but you have to also make sure that you get the message of your agenda across as well.
Okay. And then my final question, I don't know, Francis, if you have more, but only with a yes or no response. Have you made any public statements, either in meetings or online, concerning data centers?
No, I have not.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, next is Garang Patel.
Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to be considered for this position. I'm seeking to serve because I believe I can be an asset to East Brandywine Township's residents, businesses, and property owners. And because after 16 years of living here, I care deeply about this community and its future. My family and I moved to East Brandywine in August of 2010. As a matter of fact, it was 16 years ago yesterday. We chose this township deliberately. We were looking for natural beauty, strong schools, a sense of community, a place where we could ultimately call home and our family could grow. We found that in Applecross, and East Brandywine has been our home ever since. Applecross is an important part of East Brandywine. There's roughly a 640-acre community with hundreds of homes, a significant residential population, some substantial roads, stormwater infrastructure, open space, and recreational facilities. Having lived there for 16 years, I would bring to the board a first-hand understanding of the opportunities and challenges that come with such a large residential community. I also own rental property in East Brandywine. That gives me another perspective as a property owner on the responsibilities of maintaining property and the importance of thoughtful and predictable local government. But I want to be clear. I would not represent Applecross or my own interests at the expense of the township. I represent East Brandywine. That's the role of the supervisor. My community involvement hasn't always been very visible. I volunteered at my children's elementary school as a homeroom parent for several years. It wasn't a high-profile position, as you can imagine, and I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because I believe being involved is important to my children, their classmates, and their school. This is also how I view public service. Strong communities depend on people who are willing to step forward and contribute simply because it is important to serve. Professionally, I would bring a different type of experience to the board. I've spent my entire career in the biopharmaceutical industry, including in senior executive leadership roles. I work in an environment where decisions have to be evidence-based, risks have to be understood and managed, resources have to be used responsibly, and decisions have consequences for many different stakeholders. I recognize that I do not have many years of direct township experience or committee experience in the municipal area that some of the other candidates bring to this position. I see that not as a disadvantage, but as an opportunity to add a different perspective to the board. I would bring experience in leadership, risk management, financial stewardship, regulatory decision-making, strategic planning, and bringing people together with different perspectives to reach sound decisions. I know how to listen to experts, ask difficult questions, evaluate competing information, and ultimately make a decision and be held accountable for it. I also understand that there are rarely perfect answers. Good decisions require balancing different interests, understanding risks and consequences, and finding practical solutions that serve the broader community. I would approach this position with humility. I would listen first, learn from those who have served the township for many years, and work collaboratively with the board, the township staff, and our residents. I believe East Brandywine has an opportunity to preserve what makes this township special while making thoughtful decisions about growth, infrastructure, public safety, taxes, open space, and our future. After 16 years and a day here, I don't want to be simply someone who has an opinion on these decisions. I want to help make them. So I'd be honored to serve East Brandywine and to bring a perspective of a longtime resident, a parent, a community volunteer, a property owner, and a senior professional leader for the Board of Supervisors. Thank you for considering me.
Thank you. So I'll let you start.
Sure. So, why do you want to be a supervisor and why now?
As I said, it's the opportunity to get involved and to do something rather than just voicing opinion. I did learn a lot over the past few months. I spoke here recently about the data center, and honestly, I spoke on the wrong topic when it was the ordinance meeting, and it kind of brought me to the realization that blindly showing up isn't really what you need to do to be effective in the community. So certain things like that started to sort of
circulate, and I read up a little bit just how the township organization works, and then out of the blue, a vacancy appeared, and some neighbors had asked me to get involved because I had been reading up on some things that have happened and why some things happened, ordinances, petitions, and being able to communicate that was actually very helpful. And they suggested I get involved, and I thought it's something I enjoy. I enjoy doing things. I don't like being in the dark. So understanding the issues that are at hand sort of motivated me to actually step up and take some action and apply.
And how much time would you have to dedicate to the position?
We have 2 scheduled meetings a month, morning and evening. Need to be present for those, brush up beforehand, or read whatever is necessary. I would say 5-10 hours a week. Give or take, I'm sure it will be busier with upcoming, dealing with the upcoming issues, but yeah, an average 5-10 hours a week.
All right, so what item would you like to have the most impact on as a supervisor if you were selected?
I would say budget season's coming up. I think thoughtful spending is very important. It's not about cutting taxes, it's really about making the most out of the money that you have. So working with the finance committee, ensuring that we have a sound budget in place for next year. That would be kind of the larger priority. More short term, I need to understand how, on a daily basis, nuts and bolts of how the supervisors work, how we would collaborate, how other committees work. So just coming up to speed on those.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
All right. If you were chosen, how would you approach the first 6 months?
I kind of touched on that just a moment ago. There are standing, agenda items for every meeting. There is business that needs to be conducted. I think understanding what some of the short-term decisions and issues are that will be in front of the board, understanding what, as a supervisor, there's legislative and executive responsibilities, understanding what will play into each decision that's coming up, hopefully get some support from the solicitor and understanding the legal consequences, the framework. So basically, knowing what the upcoming issues are in the next few months. Obviously, the data center thing is a big deal. Understanding what our legal responsibilities are, the framework within which we operate. So some of those sort of small, big ticket things that are requiring some immediate action.
And which specific areas of township operations will be your biggest learning curve, and how do you plan to master them?
Township operation. I would think understanding the actual operation of the governance, the board, how the board interfaces with the various committees, what responsibilities I might have or others might have in terms of being liaisons to the other groups. I think that would probably be, the
Okay. And then you can just do a yes or no response to this one, but have you made any public statements, either in meetings or online, about the data centers?
I'm probably going to be the first one to say yes. I spoke in front of this group.
Yep, that's fine. That was just a question. Thank you. Anything else?
Okay. No, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
All right. I just, again, want to thank all of the applicants. Again, we are just so fortunate and so blessed to have this number of highly qualified people, applicants here tonight, and it's a tough decision. It's very tough. I don't even know how we would proceed at this point with regards to this. I think about this and what we need right now, what our immediate needs are, and who can step in and start doing that job tomorrow. And I don't know from solicitor the deliberation that we're to embark upon at this point. But I'm going to be honest. All the applicants were great, but at this point, I have to lean towards Alan Yefko, and that's who I'm thinking. about to fill this position, someone that can step right in and go to work, understanding the issues that we're faced with, which are many issues. Highway improvements, we're in the middle of. We have just so much going on at this time. So I thank everyone, and I'm going to let Emily speak at this time. But again, thank you all so much. Any one of you could be doing this job. You could be doing my job. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate, to echo what Francis has said, I appreciate everybody coming out and everyone applying, and obviously we can only pick one person, but I encourage all of you, because I hear passion and conviction, and a lot of you, or all of you, to get involved, because we do have commissions. We have the Planning Commission, we have the Open Space Commission, we have the Trails Committee, we have Parks and Rec. We have so many opportunities where you can get involved and help our community, because as there were some observations, it's a lot of the same volunteers, and I'm very thankful for those volunteers, but I also think that we need some new volunteers to come in, and we welcome that as a township. And I will say, so this is the most awkward part, right? Because typically you don't have discussions about candidates and things like that in front of the candidates, so forgive me. But I'm gonna say for deliberation's sake, I have a top two.
Okay.
One is Alan Yefko, and one is Alan Snyder. And I think Alan Yefko brings fantastic years of experience, absolute dedication, very involved, and can hit the ground running, and he did bring that up that point, and that is a very good point. So the ramp up is less and things like that. And I also appreciate the discussion about community outreach, because that's something that I think we do need to work on. And Alan Snyder also talked about some of the community outreach and brings some additional skills from a marketing perspective, and he talked about adaptability and leading the youth programs and things like that. And so that's, I think those were the top two candidates.
So,
Yeah.
So, what would be appropriate, if you're ready to do it, is for someone to make a motion to appoint one of the candidates. That would have to be seconded and voted on. The motion would be to appoint X to the vacant term, which would expire on the first Monday of January of 2028.
And can I ask too, is there any point in discussing Alan Snyder or Alan Yefko, or are you?
I think they're both candidates, and I certainly understand the points that you brought up, and Alan Snyder's interview was very good. I'm going to strongly stand with my position with regards to Alan Yefko, because we have so much going on right now. We've got a lot of work in front of us, and I'm looking. I think he will be able to jump in and give us a hand for the remainder of the year.
I could agree. I agree with that too.
So I'm going to make a motion to nominate Alan Yefko to fill the vacancy for the supervisor position to the remainder of the term, to the end of this year, 2026, January 1st.
And just to motion to appoint, just
Motion
a friendly
to appoint.
amendment.
Is it till the end of 2026? Isn't it till the end of 2027?
Yes.
Sorry.
It's
sorry.
actually to the first Monday of January.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry.
2028.
Yeah,
More than
I had
4
the wrong
months,
date.
please, Francis.
Right.
I'm worried
Apologies.
about the short time period that we have. Things just take so long.
The successor would occupy the seat chosen by the voters at an election to be held in the fall of 2027.
2027, that's correct. My apologies.
Beginning of
To the group.
2028.
Well, just to clarify, right, someone has to run in the municipal election next year for, I think it's a
It would be the full 6-year term.
full 6-year term.
Yeah, and that would be the primary in May, and then the general election in November. All right, so you have a motion Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Again, thank you all very much. Congratulations, Alan, and you're going to be working sooner than you think.
Any?
We're going to move on to any public comments on non-agenda items. If anyone would like to make a comment on something that's not on the agenda. Anything on your mind? All right. Thank you all very much. I get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.